Welcome to the garden. Today I'm going to be making an underwater terrarium. I'll be using this 2-in-1 tiny terrarium. We're just going to be setting this into this nice square jar. I found both of these jars in the same thrift store, and I've really enjoyed this one. It's got a great seal, so I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about water seeping in. Then I'm going to take our lid and add a little bit of plastic wrap. It'll basically be invisible, but hopefully it'll just give us a really airtight seal. I think this dried out just a little bit last time, so I'm going to add just a couple drops of water. The sand is going to provide a visual anchor for the terrarium, as well as a literal anchor when we add our jar. Now I haven't actually tested yet whether the jar is going to float or sink, so I'm going to cross my fingers here and hope that it sinks. You can always weigh it down. Alright, I think it's going to sink. So I'm just going to nestle it in ever so slightly. Make sure it's vertical and balanced and centered. That looks excellent. There we go. It's fully submerged. Oh, that is so cool. An underwater terrarium. How awesome is that? And because it's sealed, or an eternal terrarium, it's really not going to get any extra water. That little air pocket isn't quite enough to make it float, but it'll be enough to keep that moss alive. As just a finishing touch, I'm going to add a couple polished stones. I think I'm going to use these amethysts. That'll give it a nice splash of color. I just realized that we could call this a terrarium aquarium, which is really funny. This thing is just absolutely beautiful. It is like a little aquarium with a terrarium inside. As far as I know, this is the only underwater terrarium in the world. Today I've brought out all 3 of my terrariums. This one at the back is the oldest and is now over a year old. Then we have our tall terrarium with our spruce tree, and look at all that new growth. It is just bursting with life. Everything that's bright green there is brand new. It's basically doubled in size in the past couple weeks. So submerged underwater here is our old 2-in-1 tiny terrarium. I made that tiny terrarium on Earth Day last year. If you want to see how I did it, you can click on this link up here. It sat by itself for a while on my windowsill, but then I added it to this tall terrarium. It was really cool to see a terrarium inside another terrarium. On our last update, I ended up submerging that cap underwater to try and get some extra moisture in there, which gave me the idea for this crazy creation. Do you guys think this is the first and only underwater terrarium? That would be really cool if it is. Let me know in the comments or with a thumbs up if you enjoyed this underwater terrarium. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.